Hey there, I'm Sam with Tennis Express with Sam Spencer, also from Tennis Express. We are talking Yonex Muse. Of course, the brands had VCore, Percept, and E-Zone as their primary lines. The Muse is something a little bit different. Just for starters, you can kind of see this interesting shaft design, the energy flow shaft, and then super narrow beam here. So obviously, Yonex has cooked up something a little bit different. Spencer, we tested two models, the Muse 100 and the Muse 98. Any initial thoughts on these rackets? I know you've hit a few of the inline Yonex models before. What were your thoughts on Muse?
Yeah, you know why I was actually really surprised by these two rackets? I normally go with a smaller head and a heavier frame, but this time I actually prefer the bigger head and the lighter weight. Something about that lighter weight really allowed me to swing through the ball. The sweet spot was a lot bigger, and I think with this racket, you really have to swing to get the right shot.
I'm right there with you. First of all, I want to point out, I love the 16 by 18 string patterns on the Muse. The whole line has them. It's a little bit more open. The string bed feels more grippy. In the past, Yonex has had some of the 16 by 18 patterns, but a lot of the times they were in like the E-Zone 100 SL or some of those lighter weight models. So I think in the Muse rackets, especially the open pattern, it's great for topspin. You get a little bit more forgiveness and more net clearance as well. One thing that I noticed right away, especially with the 98 square inch version, is that it is not a power racket by any stretch. So if you pick up Muse or you see Muse from the side or you see it in a video or something, you might think, oh, this is just a pure power racket. The Muse 98 is a pretty controlled response. Even with that string pattern, I think it has something to do with that thin shaft design. You really have to take a cut to get the ball to do what you want it to do. But if you're consistent in your stroke production and you can take a big cut at the ball, I think you're gonna be pretty happy with the result. Spencer, can you talk a little bit, you were expanding on the 100. Can you talk about the comfort level of the rackets? Like, do you have any arm issues at all?
No, not at all, actually. So we've got that thin beam here, but you'll see that it gets really a lot thicker as you go up. That thickness really soaks up that vibration, and you really can hit through that ball so easily. It's so plush. It's very comfortable. Sam, did you have a favorite shot with either of these rackets?
So I'm kind of with you. I guess I would normally favor the 98 square inch head, but I like the 100 in the Muse line. 16 by 18 pattern, pretty light, 10.4 ounces. I loved the topspin forehand. I felt like I was getting easy depth, 6, maybe 8 to 10 feet over the net. Not as many net mistakes as I'm accustomed to making, but I want to preach on the comfort story of it too. I think at Tennis Express, we're testing a lot of rackets all the time, and one of the things we hear a lot is, I just want a racket that I can keep playing and get out on the courts and not have arm fatigue, muscle fatigue, and not have tennis elbow issues. And I think what Yonex has done is they've made a racket for players that maybe are a little nervy about their elbow or their wrist. The Muse rackets are very comfortable. That flexible shaft is definitely a comfort to tender elbows. And as Spencer mentioned, the thicker hoop here makes it more stable up higher in the hoop. So you get flex and comfort from the shaft design, but also a little bit more stability from that thicker beam up in the head. Spencer, can you describe maybe the ideal candidate to use that Muse 100?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say that this racket is either ideal for beginners or like young players, or beginners moving up into that intermediate level of play. That 100, it's got the bigger head, but it also weighs just a little bit less. So a little bit more friendly on those smaller players. But the forgiveness of both of these rackets is in the cushion and the easy maneuverability that they provide. So I'm not saying it's not for an advanced player, but I think beginners and intermediates are really going to enjoy this frame.
I think the advanced player, if there's a Muse that they're going to go for, it's probably that 98. I think it's going to surprise some people with how control oriented it is. I would even say some of the, maybe the VCore 98, maybe the Percept 97, even feel a little bit more crisp and powerful to me than the Muse 98. So obviously a very soft and flexible control racket. The one other thing I wanted to mention kind of on the technology here with Muse is we talked about the shaft design and the very thin beam. They also have kind of brought shared holes back. And what that is basically a main string and a cross string. They share the same opening. And so these are impact zone grommets, and the idea being is that it's gonna let the string bed and the strings move more for you to kind of give you more spin, more forgiveness outside the sweet spot, just to kind of round out that comfort story. There's a few lighter weight models as well in the 100 square inch head size, but there's also the 107. So if you're somebody that's been like, where have all the oversized rackets gone? There is a Muse 107 that still has that thin shaft design and a little bit more extra power from the oversized head. Sorry, Spencer, I was saying, is there any final thoughts for you on the Muse?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you look at it, it looks like a Yonex. It's got that isometric profile, you know, that ergonomic shape, which they're really known for. So if you're a fan of Yonex and want to try something new, this is the one.
So for the Muse 98, it's a 98 square inch head, 10.8 ounces unstrung, 31.5 millimeter beam, and that wide open 16 by 18 string pattern. The Muse rackets have that thinner shaft and thicker up in the head. For the Muse 100 specs, 100 square inch head, 10.4 ounces, 32 centimeter balance, 27 inches, and again, 16 by 18 pattern for more spin and power. I think just wrapping up for me, if you're looking for a user-friendly, comfortable, and fairly spin-friendly and powerful racket, I think the Muse 100 is a great option. I think it's gonna have mass appeal for lots of different levels. And if you're an advanced player that plays a lot of competitive tennis and you want something that's absolutely maybe the most comfortable Yonex racket on the market, I would give that Muse 98 a shot, at least with our demo program. Now we're gonna throw it over to Susie, our best playtester. She's gonna give us her thoughts on the Muse.
Hey, I'm here with Susie. We just got off the court. We tested these brand new Yonex Muses. Susie, what was your first impressions?
I like them. I mean, there's so much good spin on them with this pattern, 16 by 18 definitely.
Yeah, the string pattern's a little bit more open, gives a little bit more snapback on the ball. What was your favorite shot while using this racket?
I think the serve would be my favorite. I could hit flat serves, a little bit of kick, even the slice, and the ball will just like keep going.
Yeah, no, I didn't mention that before either. I actually really like the serves as well. Is there a particular player that you think is best suited for this racket?
I think the 100 with the weight 10.4 could be a good transition racket for a junior player that is starting to like take lessons and is starting to take tennis a little bit more serious. I think that could be a really good racket for them.
Yeah.
It will help them with the power as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The weight of that racket is perfect for a beginner or an up-and-coming junior. If you had to choose, which one would you use for yourself?
I think the 98.
Okay.
I think it gave me a little bit more stability with like heavy shots and running around the court as well. It's such an easy racket to handle, like just you know, changing grips and just during the transition, like I didn't have any issue to keep my racket in front and then just like stick it out for the volleys or, you know, move the grip for a drop. I feel like it was really good to just move it around.
Yeah, no, these rackets offer a lot of vibration dampening, and a player like me who likes to go in to the net, especially later in the match when I'm tired, I really like hitting the volleys. It really absorbs all that shock, and I felt like I could place those drop shots exactly where I wanted them to go.
Thanks so much for checking out our racket review on the Yonex Muse. Really interesting frames from the brand. You can find everything from Yonex at Tennis Express, and don't forget their other lines, Percept, E-Zone, and V-Core.